Hi, and welcome to this live reading from New to Newport by Emi Hilton. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Sweat dripped down Hannah's temples and pooled at the middle of her back. She pounded the air conditioning button in her car, then attempted to crank it up to full blast. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Zero change. Hannah would have even accepted if a soft blow of the outside balmy salt air came through the vent, but nope. Figures the car was older than her. It didn't help she hadn't used the AC since last summer. Even then, it had sputtered and clanked along, but eventually had blown a small stream of cool air. Nah, her AC had finally kicked it. Great. Just great. With no choice, Hannah lowered her windows a few inches to let the summer ocean air waft through her beat-up gold Toyota Corolla. The light up ahead turned from green to yellow. For a split second, Hannah contemplated speeding through the intersection to make the light. Ultimately, Hannah decided it wasn't worth the risk. Slamming on her brakes, the car halted an inch from the intersection. Seconds later, a car rammed into her from behind. Her body lurched forward, making her head whip back to correct it. As she gripped the steering wheel, Hannah's knuckles turned white. Her trusty seatbelt locked. Hannah's body stayed firmly in place as the car scraped its way across the asphalt before stopping several feet ahead. Blood pumped through her veins as she braced herself for another possible impact. Then, to her utmost surprise, the car miraculously didn't move. Heart in her throat, Hannah rubbed one hand behind her stinging neck. What in the world? Hannah muttered. A tremor made her hands jump and jive. She brought her hand from her sore neck back to her steering wheel. Hannah peered over her shoulder through the back windshield. A blue Honda Civic, appearing to be even older than her Corolla, had decided to play bumper cars with her. Cars parted around them, swerving into the other lane. Their accident became a commuter's nuisance. Nobody stopped, and Hannah didn't blame them. They had places to go. So did she. Honk, honk, honk. The sound ricocheted around in her brain, making her temples throb. Those who passed by peered curiously out their windows to view the damage. Once past their cars, they picked up speed, melting into the stream of moving metal. Hannah glanced down at herself to scan her body for any visible injuries. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. No blood. Honk, honk, honk. She winced at the excruciating sound. With a tremor in her hands, Hannah flipped on her blinker. A smashed bumper wasn't the end of the world. Maybe the car was still drivable. She peered over her shoulder, waiting for a break in traffic so she could move to the side. The light a block behind her turned red, the two lanes emptied, and Hannah merged over. A loud clank repeated over and over as her car limped over to the side of the road. Up a few yards, Hannah found a spot along the curb and parked. After she parked, Hannah clocked the time on her dash. Perfect. Late for day one of her new job, she was no doubt off to a brilliant start. With a groan, Hannah opened her car door and climbed out. Hannah slammed her door shut and willed herself to dampen her raging temper. It was an accident. Accident? Accident. Slowly, she rounded her car to catalog the damage. The entire trunk was squashed flat against the back seat. Her shoulders stiffened as she inched to the other side. Hannah sighed when she spotted the wheel well crunched against the passenger side tire. She wasn't going anywhere in this thing, and now she was officially late to work. For a few seconds, Hannah stared at that tire, willing it to magically transform beneath her gaze. Then, in a knee-jerk reaction, she gave it a swift, hard kick. Ouch! Her flip-flops weren't made for this type of action. She didn't know what hurt more, her head, neck, or now, foot. Then, out of nowhere, someone asked, "Are you okay?" The words broke her spiraling thoughts. Hannah snapped her head in the direction of the voice. Her gaze landed on a good-looking guy around her age with dark hair and stunning green eyes. Was this the guy who had hit her? Or a mere bystander? Slowly, she inspected the guy further, taking in his tall frame, khaki shorts, and plain blue crew-neck sweatshirt. He looked like an Old Navy model in the absolute best way. Did all the guys walking around Newport look like him? Everyone joked that California was the land of milk and honey. Whomever pegged the term certainly knew what they were talking about. Her random sampling only made her wonder what the people looked like on the beach. Maybe Newport was right where she needed to be. Mr. Hottie cleared his throat, plunging a hand through his wind-blown sea-breezed hair. He asked again, "How are you feeling?" He scrutinized her appearance. "Any injuries? Should I call an ambulance?" Suddenly, Hannah regretted not doing her hair. She had arrived in Newport Beach late last night. A blaring alarm clock had awoken her much too late, and Hannah had stumbled her way out of bed. With no time, she threw on her uniform, pulling her ratty hoodie on over it. Hannah wanted to blurt out that she normally didn't look this disheveled. Her knees shook, and she wondered if it was from the rear end or Mr. Emerald Green Eyes. To find her equilibrium, Hannah crossed her arms and leaned a hip against her car. "I'm fine." She forced herself to look at the damaged section of her car. "But my car is undrivable. Are you the person who hit me?" Hannah peered past the man, spotting a crunched-up, now empty blue Civic. "Bingo." He scratched his head, then tucked his thumbs through his empty belt loops. For a split second, the fabric of his shirt rose enough for her to see the inch of skin around the waist of his shorts. Whoa there. Why was she clocking this guy so hardcore? Guilty. For a moment, he glanced down at his feet, then swung his gaze back to her. "Sorry about that. Are you okay?" His tone oozed regret. His tone melted away the annoyance of her crushed car and being late for work. The guy hadn't meant to hit her, and she had slammed on her brakes at the last minute. He was at fault, but it didn't mean she needed to be a total brat about it. Hannah double-checked her watch. "I'm fine. How about you?" She allowed herself another peek only to scan for injuries, not to make goo-goo eyes at him. "I'm not hurt," he exhaled, making his shoulders drop a good 2 inches, "and I'm relieved to hear you aren't either." "Thanks." Hannah straightened herself, "but I'm going to need to call a tow truck." The man sidestepped around her car. He crouched down in front of the bent wheel well. "Again, I'm sorry." He peered up at her. "I shouldn't have been following you so closely." Sweat glistened his brow, and he swiped at it with the back of his wrist. Hannah shrugged. "That's why they call it an accident." Dang, she was going easy on him. Is this how hot people manage to get through life? Did everyone always give them a free pass? He stood back up a mere foot in front of her. The man was tall, easily over 6 foot, and towered over her average height. Hannah stumbled a step back until her hip rested against the side of her car. She peered over his shoulder toward his damaged vehicle. "How about you? Do you think your car is drivable?" "Nah." The man scrunched his nose. Hannah wondered if he was squinting or thinking. "I could barely see over the dash enough to pull it over to the side, so I'll need a tow truck too." Hannah plunged her hands into the front pocket of her oversized hoodie. With the gray sky, goosebumps ran up and down her arms. "Let me call a tow truck." Hannah tugged her phone free. "Then we can exchange insurance information." Without looking up, Hannah typed tow truck into the internet browser. "I'll go grab my license and insurance information from the car." Then he took off toward his car. Hannah scrutinized him for a second as he jogged back to his crushed vehicle. His broad shoulders were what dreams were made of. She shook her head, forcing herself to focus on the internet search on her phone. A lengthy list of tow truck companies popped up. With no clue on how to decipher which was legit, she simply selected the first one listed. Hannah hit call, putting her phone to her ear. She listened as it rang. The man made his way back from his car with papers in hands. When he came within hearing distance, Hannah remarked, "It's still ringing." He nodded and shuffled his feet. Finally, he peered out at the steady stream of cars driving by. When the light changed to red, the cars piled up, waiting again for the green light. The tow truck company answered, and Hannah explained the situation along with the cross streets of their location. Then she hung up once the details were confirmed. They said they'd be here as soon as possible. Hannah placed her phone back into the front pocket of her hoodie, but it'll probably be a half hour. Clouds attempted to part to allow the sunshine to trickle through. She squinted for a second against the rays of sun hitting her. "Sounds reasonable. Do you want to exchange information while we wait?" He arched an eyebrow and paused. Quickly, he added, "I'm Caleb, by the way. Sorry I hit you." His eyes crinkled around the edges, making his stunning green eyes pop back at her. "Hannah, and you don't need to keep apologizing." Unnecessarily, she tugged the bottom of her hoodie down. "Let me go grab my purse." Hannah pivoted, traipsing to her car without further explanation. After she located her purse on the floor of the front seat, she returned. Caleb had settled on the curb in between their crushed vehicles. Hannah plopped herself down next to him. She pulled out her license and insurance information from her purse. As she held it out to him, Hannah said, "Here, snap a picture of my stuff, and I'll take a picture of yours too. I think that's the easiest way to do it." She met his gaze. "I believe it's your responsibility to report this to your insurance company since you're the one who hit me." His gaze dropped to her outstretched hand and papers. For a good long second, he scrutinized her hand. What was this guy's deal? Her nail polish was a tad chipped, but she hadn't had any time to fix it. Hannah shook the papers in her hands and shot him a "Are you still with me?" glance. His cheeks flushed. Slowly, Caleb gulped like he was waking up from a trance. "Oh, gotcha. Sorry." Caleb took the papers from her, handing Hannah his own in return. Afterwards, he placed the documents flat against the sidewalk and yanked his phone out of his front pocket. "This is the first time I've hit someone. I'm sorry. I'm out of sorts." He snapped a picture. "There you go. Apologizing again." Hannah crouched over the paperwork on the curb next to her and snapped a photo of the documents. "But on behalf of the other drivers in this world, let's hope this is your first and last accident."